There was a lot that happened around this Iowa State Cyclone program around this time last season. There was a lot to do with the gambling thing going on, which cut what you would have assumed to be the primary starting quarterback, Hunter Deckers, and a budding young star at running back in Jareel Brock off the team. And expectations entering 2023 were not very high. Yet the team exceeded those. They surprised a lot of people, and they're aiming to do the same thing here in 2024. A lot of good young talent on this Iowa State team. Can it lead to a berth to a Big 12 title game? You're about to find out what I think here in this video. What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to prediction season. It's where I predict all 134 FBS level college football teams. That's what I'm doing this summer, which means I'm doing your favorite team. So why don't you go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and ring the bell so you know when that video gets uploaded, whether you're a Cyclone fan or not. I want to thank you for watching this video because it helps support my channel in more ways than you can even imagine. And if you would like to continue to support what I do here on YouTube, please like, comment, share, watch my other videos, and do anything else you can to help interact with the channel. Anything you do to interact with it helps to support it, and I appreciate all the love and support that I get from everyone out there. With no further delay, let's dive into talking about the Cyclones in 2024. But how do we do that? Well, I'm about to tell you. We're going to take a deep dive into the team's offense, into the defense, and at the end of the day, once everything is said and done, we'll go ahead and talk about the Cyclone football schedule and give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. A couple more notes before we do start. Right over here are going to be the stats of the team either offensively or defensively put up from last season. And of course, for your viewing pleasure, right below the team's logo, I have put the team's coaching staff. So I will waste no further time here. Let's talk about the Cyclone offense in 2024. Just had to fix an empty little slot there, so the slide changed. That's why. We got to talk about the most important position on the field. That's the quarterback position, and I'm not going to include Hunter Deckers as a loss because he was gone before the start of last season. But Rocco Becht was a young player entering last season that, again, you were just kind of looking and saying, okay, what are we going to get from him? Well, what you got was absolutely outstanding. Fix that misspelling there. You're welcome, Rocco Becht. 3,120 yards, 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions on almost 63% completion percentage last year. Sure, you'd like to see that completion percentage number, if you're a Cyclone fan, probably improve from where it was last season. That interception number to improve from where it was last season. But being such a young player and to come in and perform as well as you did is really, really good. And you will absolutely take it. Now, entering 2024, there are high expectations for Rocco Becht to be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12 Conference. He's got a very, very good arm. Not really the running type, only 63 rushing yards last season with 3 touchdowns. So it's more of a pocket passer than anything. But when you take a look at Rocco Becht, there's a lot of talent surrounding him. And entering 2024, again, as I said a little bit ago, the expectations are high for him this season. You did lose some pieces through the transfer portal in the running back room. Eli Sanders is gone, was the second leading rusher last season, 477 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Cartavius Norton is gone as well, 343 yards and 3 touchdowns for him last season. Both of those guys have left by way of the transfer portal. Abu Sama is going to be coming back to be that leading rusher. 614 yards and 6 touchdowns for him last season. He really started to come along and play really well at the end of the season, especially that Snow Bowl against the Kansas State Wildcats last season. Carson Hansen will also be coming back, had 22 carries a season ago. And you do get a player coming in from the portal to help make up for the loss of Sanders and Norton. Jalen Jackson is coming over from Eastern Michigan. In the wide receiver room, you did lose some pieces in there as well. Aiden Bitter and Greg Gaines III are both gone. Now, they only combined for maybe, I don't even think they both of their stats in total combined for 100 yards last season, yet Greg Gaines, definitely a high upside player. Bitter could have had a big role in 2024, but they both decided to leave through the portal, and you did lose some guys out of the tight end room as well. Easton Dean is gone to the NFL, 171 yards and 3 touchdowns for him last season, while Deshaun Hanukkah is leaving through the transfer portal. Did not have a catch last year, but could play a big role at the program that he has landed in. So let's talk about the pass catching room room for the Cyclones in 2024. Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, and Daniel Jackson will all be coming back. Higgins was the lead receiver last year, almost a 1,000-yard receiver last season, 983 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. Noel at 820 yards with 7 touchdowns, and then Jackson 260 yards and 2 touchdowns for him a season ago. You do get some transfers coming into this room as well, as Isaiah Alston is an Army transfer, and Eli Green is coming over from the FCS powerhouse in North Dakota State. In the tight end room, you do get Ben Bramer back. He was a freshman last season that played really, really well. 28 catches, 352 yards, and 2 touchdowns last season. Steve Klotz, Tyler Moore, and Gabe Burkle will also all be coming back to this tight end room. Now you go ahead and take a look at the offensive line. Darrell Simmons Jr. is gone through the transfer portal, but not to fret. There is a lot of talent coming back on this offensive line. James Neal, Gerard Hufford, Jim Boniface, Brendan Black, and Tyler Miller will all be coming back, as well as Jalen Travis and Dylan Barrett, will enter through the transfer portal. Travis is coming over from Princeton, while Barrett comes over from the Wisconsin Badgers. So let us talk about the offense for the Cyclones in 2024. Again, it starts with Rocco Becht, 3,100-yard passer, as I said at the beginning of talking about this offense. Rocco Becht, the expectations are high for him. You'd like to see him cut down on the interceptions a little bit if he can, while throwing for more touchdowns, while trying to increase that completion percentage from last season as well. But the talent on this offense, again, it is still young. Abu Sama is, again, a young player that should see some really big minutes and a great season in 2024. The wide receiver room has a mix of young talent as well as some experienced players coming over through the transfer portal. Your tight end room is fairly young, going to be led by Ben Bramer. The offensive line's got some good talent on it. Again, it's a very young group, but they are very talented. Rocco Becht is looking to have another great season. Sama should have a really productive 2024. The wide receiver room, as well as that tight end room, is really good. And Iowa State offense, watch out for them. That rushing number from last season, they will average more than 120 rushing yards per game, while that pass number might very well stay around the same, if not improve, in 2024. You go ahead and take a look at what the Cyclones have defensively. If my slide would change, there it goes. And there definitely is a lot more leaving this defense than the offensive side of the ball, which is going to leave the defense pretty young, and we'll talk about it as we go. But the defensive line does lose a couple pieces through the transfer portal. Now, to my knowledge, I believe they were more depth pieces than anything, but Jefferson Adam and Anthony Cunningham will both be leaving this defensive line room. I do not believe either of them ended up having a tackle last season, but losses in the defensive line nonetheless. So you do get pretty much everyone coming back on this defensive line from last season, and all of your leading tacklers. Tyler Onyedim, I definitely butchered that last name, so I apologize profusely. Joey Peterson, J.R. Singleton, Dominique Orange, Ikenna Eziogu, I butchered that last name as well. I know I did. All of those guys will be coming back. Tyler had 2 sacks last season. Peterson, 2.5 sacks. Singleton, 3.5 sacks. I do believe there's another guy in Jones that will be coming back to this room there as well. My apologies. Yes, Trent Jones is a sophomore who had 19 tackles, 3 sacks last season. And then you also are getting a transfer into this room as well in Kennard Snyder, who is coming over from ULM. So he definitely should be a pretty solid player on the defensive line for the Cyclones in 2024. Jerry Vaughn is going to be gone due to graduation out of this Iowa State linebacker room. 5th leading tackler last season, had 46 tackles last year. Again, that's a pretty substantial loss there. Karsten Marshall is going to be gone through the transfer portal. He only had 4 tackles last year. And JJ Jean-Louis, again, more of a depth piece than anything in this linebacker room. So again, a lot of your top talent does come back. Caleb Bacon was your 2nd leading tackler, had 60 tackles, 3 sacks last season. You also are going to be getting back Will McLaughlin, 42 tackles, a sack, a pass defended, and 2 interceptions last season. Jack Sadowski, the 5th. Yes, I do believe he is the 5th there. 33 tackles for him last season. Carson Willich, Zachary Lovett are all pieces that return here. And then a world of talent comes back in the defensive back room. Yet you do lose some pretty talented pieces as well. TJ Tampa had 44 tackles, 7 pass defended, and 2 interceptions last season. You also are losing Miles Norwood to the transfer portal, who was a pretty high upside player that just never seemed to get the playing time. It stops there. Just never seemed to get playing time. Ben Nickel is going to be gone to the NFL from the safety position. 40 tackles and 3 pass defended for him last season. While you do lose Travion McGee through the transfer portal as well, only 5 tackles for him a season ago. So again, what does that mean? Well, a lot of your top defensive backs do come back. Miles Purchase is back in the cornerback room. 56 tackles with a team high 14 passes defended last season. Don't worry, there was another guy in double figures there as well. Jontez Williams is also going to be coming back here to this room. Williams had himself a pretty solid season last year. Six tackles for 3 pass defended. Again, the 3 pass defended still pretty good. Darian Porter also back, while Ryan Robinson Jr. is an LSU transfer that should play a pretty substantial role in this cornerback room. And then in the safety room, boy, is this secondary absolutely loaded, especially in the safety room. Bo Frailer had 106 tackles last season, 5 pass defended, also 3 interceptions from last year. Malik Verdon, who had 47 tackles, 4 pass defended, and 2 interceptions last season. Jeremiah Cooper, here's the other double-digit guy, 10 pass defended, and led the team with 5 interceptions last season. Did I say Frailer led the team in interceptions? If I did, I apologize, because it was Jeremiah Cooper who had 5 of them, second on the team last year with 10 pass defended. Jamison Patton and Drew Surges also come back to the safety room, and kickers are people too, so let's show them some love. Tyler Perkins does come back as the punter, and then while Chase Contreras is off to the NFL, he was the primary kicker last season, Carter Davis is coming in through the transfer portal to hopefully be that starting kicker for the Cyclones in 2024. So talking about this defense overall, there's just a lot of talent all over this defense. You return most of your defensive linemen, most of your linebackers, most of your secondary players, Purchase, Williams, Frailer, Cooper, a lot of those guys are going to be very, very good for the Cyclones in 2024 as they were last season. And this is a defense that you take a look at these numbers over there. Put them in the memory bank, because I have no doubt that they will be getting better in pretty much every category in 2024. Now we take a look at the Cyclones' schedule for 2024, and it looks like this. Any game at home is going to be underlined, while any game on the road is in italics. Guys, that's that slanted text. Any game you see in green is a game that I think the Cyclones are going to win pretty easily. Any game in yellow is a game that, okay, you know, the other team's going to fight, but I still think the Cyclones will walk away with that win, and any game in red is a loss. The Iowa State Cyclone football team will be starting off with a win in 2024, as, hey, that text is already green, might as well keep it that way. I think they'll be fairly easily be able to get by the North Dakota Fighting Hawks before you enter the rivalry game week 2 for the Cy-Hawk Trophy against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, Iowa, much like the Iowa State Cyclones, has a lot of defensive talent coming back, but the main question for the Hawkeyes in 2024 is that schedule, or not that schedule. We're previewing the Iowa State schedule. That's why it's in my head. Is that offense going to get better? It was atrocious last season, but if Cade McNamara is back fully healthy for 2024, we'll see what Tim Lester, the new offensive coordinator, has in store here. I find it hard to believe that the Hawkeye offense is not going to at least get better here. But I do think that Hawkeye defense makes a difference. It being played in Kinnick makes a difference. And even though I trust Iowa State's offense a hell of a lot more than I trust that Hawkeye offense, I like this Iowa defense a lot better than I like the Cyclone defense. So on the road against the Iowa Hawkeyes, I think it's going to be a tough battle for the Iowa State Cyclones. Oh, and by the way, the Cy-Hawk Trophy seems to always come down to some sort of special teams mistake or special teams play. I think Iowa has the advantage in that as well, and that's why I'm going with the Hawkeyes to beat the Cyclones in the battle for the Cy-Hawk Trophy. But then after their bye week, they should be able to get back on track with a couple nice wins here. They should be able to beat the Arkansas State Red Wolves, as well as being able to go on the road and beat the Houston Cougars. Now, Willie Fritz coming into this program, I think, is one of the slam dunk home run hires of the offseason. I think he is a very, very good head coach that, again, given some time, will provide Houston with some really competitive teams in the Big 12 Conference. I don't necessarily see that happening this season, especially with the talent that Houston does have. It'll take some time for Willie Fritz to sort of gather that talent, as they did lose a lot through the transfer portal. So I'm going with the Hawkeyes to win that one. I'm also going them to win the game against Baylor at home. While I like Dave Aranda as a head coach, and I like the addition of DeQuan Finn coming into that program, the defense still leaves me with a lot of questions. And Baylor, in itself, still leaves me with a lot of questions. Even DeQuan Finn trying to adjust to the Power 5 level. Yes, he's played Power 5 teams before as the quarterback of Toledo, and Toledo was always consistently one of the better teams in the MAC with him at the helm. I really like that addition for Baylor, but again, Baylor's got more questions than answers for me. I love a lot of this young talent that the Cyclones do possess, and I think they stay at home there and are able to beat the Baylor Bears. However, I do think they suffer their second loss here to the West Virginia Mountaineers, because I think the dual threat ability of Garrett Green is the real deal. That running back tandem they have back there is the real deal. That defense poses a lot of very good pieces, a lot of pieces that could end up breaking out in 2024. And West Virginia, much like the Iowa State Cyclones, is a team to watch in the Big 12 Conference. I like what the Mountaineers possess, and with this game being in Morgantown, I think the Cyclones fall just short in going on the road and pulling off that win. They get to come back home, though, and I think with a bye week splitting these two games, I think they're going to be able to win both of them. But UCF, make no mistake, is not going to be an easy out at all. That team is going to claw, scratch, and fight, because UCF is still a very talented team. KJ Jefferson is a really good quarterback that comes over from the Arkansas Razorbacks. They got a lot of other transfers entering that room as well, and UCF always seems to have a very high level of talent on their teams. That being said, with this one being played in Ames, I do think that Rocco Becht is going to have a pretty good day against this UCF secondary, and while Iowa State's defense may struggle to slow down some of the high-powered offensive talent that UCF normally does bring, I think Iowa State's defense will make one too many plays, will force one too many turnovers. That'll help the Cyclones win that game. And then at home against Texas Tech, I see as a win as well. Now, the Red Raiders still have some pretty good talent on that side as well, but I do like Iowa State's talent a lot more than I do Texas Tech. So being able to win that one there for the Iowa State Cyclones pushes them to, what is that, 7-2 on the season? No, 6-2. 6-2. They could be pushed to 7-2 if they go on the road and beat the Kansas Jayhawks. Sadly, though, I do not think that is going to happen. For as much as I like a lot of the pieces on this Iowa State offense, I absolutely love this Kansas offense. Jalen Daniels is back, and if he stays healthy, you got Devin Neal back. You have so much talent in this wide receiver room returning as well. Now, the defense is the big question mark for Kansas. Sure, you want to see that defense step up and start to play better. It feels like they've gotten better little by little, but they lose a ton of talent to the NFL, some guys through the transfer portal as well. But I think going on the road there, Kansas will be able to win this game. I think it's a very favorable matchup for the Iowa State Cyclones, but I think Jalen Daniels is going to be too explosive for the Cyclone defense to contain. Devin Neal will have himself a good day, and the Jayhawks win that game, slowing the Cyclone, or I should say ending that Cyclone win streak, the short one, at 2. But I do think they will be able to come back home to Ames and get a win against the Cincinnati Bearcats, a team that I think just needs a little bit more development under Scott Satterfield to be able to compete in the Big 12 ranks. So the Cyclones are able to win that one. They go on the road to play the Utah Utes, and this is the one game on the schedule where I'm just like, yeah, I don't think you're necessarily going to win that one there, because I am in love with this Utah team. Cam Rising coming back. I love him. I think he's a great quarterback. You get Brant Keithy back, probably the most talented wide receiver room Cam Rising has ever had to work with as the quarterback for the Utah Utes. Some very good pieces at running back. We know what Kyle Whittingham's defense is going to play as well. They're going to be tough. They're going to be physical. They're going to punch you in the mouth before you even step on the football field to play a down. Utah is a bona fide college football playoff contender this season. To me, they're the front runners in the Big 12 Conference, and especially going on the road, I don't think Iowa State is going to be able to pull off that win. But remember the Snow Bowl last year? Who knows if we're going to get that again in Ames in 2024 to wrap up the college football season. but the Cyclones were able to beat the Wildcats on the road, and weather conditions aside, while I love Avery Johnson as a quarterback, and I think Kansas State's got a lot of good offensive and defensive pieces, this one being at home, I like Rocco Becht. I like what the Cyclones secondary is going to be able to do against Avery Johnson, and I think the Cyclones win that game against the Kansas State Wildcats to end the season 8-4, which overall I think is a pretty solid record. 6-3 in conference. I could see something as high as 10-2, but the Cyclones are undoubtedly a team to watch out for in the Big 12 Conference. There you have it. Let me know what you think about the Cyclones in the comment section below. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder. And next up, we'll talk about the Kentucky Wildcats. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.